Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Trouble, and today I'm going to be reviewing the first 4 chapters of the One Punch Man manga. I'm going to be taking a break from the Berserk reviews for now, and we're going to be getting into One Punch Man, the first 4 chapters, which it's called the Saitama Introduction Arc. And it's basically where we get introduced to Saitama. We just see his overwhelming power, and we get kind of introduced to the world. So anyway, with that all said, let's just jump right on in. So we first open up with a giant explosion, and we don't know where this explosion is. We don't know what city. We never get what a city it is. But anyway, we open up, and then we see in the rubble or the crater of the explosion, we see Vaccine Man, but we don't know he's Vaccine Man yet. We don't get introduced. And fun fact is, as I was reading this, I started to think to myself, because Vaccine Man explains this later, is that this was the birth of Vaccine Man. Like the first explosion that we see when the manga opens was the birth of Vaccine Man. I'm not really sure, because he was in the rubble, because he was there, with an explosive birth, but we never really get an explanation. We never really see anything beyond that he was there. But anyway, it's just a wild theory of mine, is that was his birth. But anyway, we see him jump into the air, and then he summons these energy balls, and then he just throws them onto the city, and then we just see it wreaking havoc. The trains are shaking, the cities are shaking, everybody's panicking. Everyone's panicking, and they're like, what's going on? We see on the news. Then we cut to the news, someone watching the news, and then they're explaining what happened is that massive explosions are going off. We don't know what's going on. We don't know. Anyway, but this turns out to be Saitama. Saitama says, well, I guess I'll go. So he gets up, puts on his cape, and heads out to deal with Vaccine Man. But as he's going out to deal with Vaccine Man, we see a little girl crying, and this little girl's crying. She's asking, "Mommy, Daddy, Daddy," and then this catches Vaccine Man, and then in just this haunting motherfucking panel, he's like, his neck just snaps, and his eyes like turn white, and the poor girl, and he walks over, he stretches out his hand, and then this is the illusion that, oh, he's here to help the little girl, but no, he's not. And then his hands just turn into these massive claws, and he goes to grab the girl, and then Saitama jumps in and saves the little girl from him. We get this cool panel where his cape is all just flocking in the air, and we see him, and it's fucking amazing. And he's like, Vaccine Man is like, who are you? Saitama goes, well, I'm Saitama. I'm a hero for a hobby. And and this just pisses off Vaccine Man so much. He goes on this like rant about who he is. It's like, that's your lame ass reason for being a hero, right? I am Mother Earth's avatar. I was born because you humans are polluting the earth. You're a sickness to Mother Earth, and the only cure for humanity is to exterminate them off the face of the earth. It's the only way you can save Mother Earth. And then he transforms into an even more horrific monster, and then Saitama just in one punch, and he goes, Gah! And Saitama, Saitama's face twists, and he's like, another fight ended in one punch. Fuck! And he just freaks the fuck out. So that's chapter 1. The next chapter we see is 3 years ago, where we see Saitama coming back from a job, and his eyes are dead. And then we see Krablante, and Krablante is like, aren't you afraid of me? Like, did you want to kill me? Saitama's like, just do it, man. You look like I just got rejected from a job. And like, Saitama is just down. His life is just miserable. Like, and reading this, it shows me it shows me that Saitama is basically in this series just jump from one end of the spectrum to the other. Like, he goes from being this dude that's down on his luck to he can't really do anything, he has no power, to the most powerful man in existence, or the most powerful being in existence. And Crablante is like, you're too pathetic. I'm not gonna kill you because you're just way too pathetic. And plus, I already have a prey that I'm looking for. Is a dude with balls for chin, a little kid with balls for chin. And as Saitama is walking, Saitama sees this little kid that fits the description of Crablante, and he's like, you were like, what did you do? Like, why is this giant crab? And he's like, oh, I drew nipples on him with permanent I drew nipples on him with permanent marker. Anyway, so Crablante just shows up behind Saitama. You know that classic anime villain things where the villain just shows up behind him? Yeah, Crablante. And then he just, without hesitation, he goes, found you, and goes in to kill him. And Saitama just jumps in to save the kid without, he doesn't even think about it. Like, he's not even thinking. He just jumps in to save the kid. And he's like, what am I doing, And Crablante is like, yo, what are you doing? I said I wasn't going to kill you. Do you really want to die that bad? Saitama says, in this age of where birth rates are declining, I can't just let you go around killing kids. And Crablante freaks out, look what this little shitface did to my look what this little shitface did to my perfect body. Crablante is very proud of his physique. He's very proud of his physique. And he's very proud of his physique, and look at this little shit. Look what he did to my perfect form. No one is allowed to make fun of my perfect form, right? And then Saitama we get a little backstory, a little more backstory deeper into Saitama's past, where he says, when I was a kid, I always imagined myself as a hero defeating villains exactly like you. And Crablante just attacks Saitama. He's beating the shit out of Saitama. And then he thinks Saitama is down, but Saitama is not down. Saitama gets back up, and he takes off his tie, because he's wearing a suit. He went to a job interview. He got rejected. Anyway, so he takes off his tie, and then he once again goes to fight Crablante. And Crablante just beats the shit out of him again. He's not the One Punch Man just yet, but anyway, so Crablante again turns away from Saitama, thinking Saitama is dead. Saitama then takes his tie and hooks it into his eyes and just pull it out, just rips it out like a crab, and kills him. And then we see Saitama in modern day, and he says, 3 years have passed since then. I trained so hard I lost all my hair, so hard I thought I'd either die or lose my mind, and finally managed to acquire an invincible power. I became the hero that I had always dreamt of being. But how can it be that even though I should be satisfied, my heart feels so empty? These first 4 chapters, as you notice, it's all set up, and this chapter is gonna be setting up like the societal system in the world. Chapter 1, 2. This is chapter 3. So chapter 3 is going to be setting up this chapter now is going to be setting up the societal system and how it works. The first chapter was basically showing us like, oh, this world is dangerous. This is the One Punch Man. It was basically an introduction showing us, the audience, Saitama's misery. Like, he's just so miserable. Like, he finishes every fight in one punch. So this chapter that we're gonna get in, chapter 3, deals with the societal, we don't get a full detailed explanation, but it's like an overview of how the society works. Anyway, so we see a laboratory in the middle of the forest, which the fact that they were able to acquire this laboratory, which is just amazing, because this laboratory looks pretty expensive. It looks pretty exclusive. I'd live there. It's pretty nice laboratory. And we go, oh, the ultimate steroid, beef Brachi King is complete. And then we see an introduction saying old face, and then we see him give it to his little brother, whose name is Beefcake. And Beefcake drinks it, and he turns into this giant, like this massive creature. Honestly, I don't even think Sairochi is as big as Beefcake. No, actually, no. Sairochi is bigger. Sairochi is way bigger. Like, but he's up there. Like, he's just massive, towering over the hills. towering over the mountains, over trees, like his head is touching the cloud. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, he picks up his brother because when he transforms, the lab collapses. And so he picks up his brother, he puts it on his shoulder, his scientific brother, he puts it on his shoulder. And the brother then says to him, with your strength, with your brawn and my brains, we'll be the ultimate. Like, no one will be able to stop us. Together we will have the highest intellect and physical power in the world. That's coming from the scientist's brother. And then he begins to march, and as he marches, he comes up on this town. And in one swing of his hand, he just destroys an entire town. And his brother is like, God damn, this is amazing. Let's go destroy the other one. Like, you just destroyed a single town. Like let's go right on to the other. Let's go right over on to the other one. Anyway, so they start marching over, and then this is where we see the societal hierarchy, right? This is an emergency. We see speakers in the town saying this is an emergency, disaster level demon. Our first introduction to the threat levels, right? The giant was reported to have arrived at City D. City D was just reported to have been destroyed. According to reports, the giant is currently moving towards City B. Residents of City B, please evacuate, right? And then we see him just walking, and we cut away. We see Saitama. We see the shoulder, and we just see Saitama sitting on his shoulder. And the other brother, the scientist, the intellect, old face, freaks out because he sees Saitama. He's like, "Oi, someone's on your shoulder." Saitama's like, "Put on some pants, will you?" Like, because he's walking around naked. Like, they even have a cloud covering his thing, right? But anyway, and old face is like, "Brother, there's someone on your shoulder. Kill him." And Beefcake stops, and then goes, he goes and kills his brother. He takes his hand down. He looks at it. He goes, "Brother!" And he grabs Saitama and just throws him so freaking hard it shatters the building. And actually, in the first season of the anime, this is actually really amazing. I like the way Saitama's body just hits the building and the building just shatters. I like how they did it in the anime. Anyway, so he freaks out. He grabs Saitama. He throws him. Then he jumps on Saitama, stomping on him, and then blow after blow after blow, just leaning in. And he just beats Saitama into this gigantic hole into the earth. And then he stops and he's like, "I'm the strongest. So what if I'm the strongest? I feel so empty." Saitama, and then we realize that Saitama is still alive. And Saitama just jumps up out of the earth and then one-shots Beefcake, killing him. Well, we don't know if Beefcake, is he dead? I don't know. Maybe it's written in like a data book or something. I haven't really read any of those. But you can comment down below and let me know. Anyway, so that's the end of Beefcake. And Saitama says, "Having overwhelming strength is boring as hell. B City was annihilated." Yeah, so from his onslaught and Saitama punching him, causing him to fall on the city. This is how fucking massive this guy is. It's like, this guy's huge. Anyway, so we then in chapter 4, we see, what can you say is basically Saitama's just depression. Like, I don't know how to classify this. I don't really know how to classify chapter 4. I think it's depression. I would call it depression. Anyway, so Saitama is sleeping in his house, and then he jumps up immediately, and a hand comes through the wall, coming through, reaching to the concrete, right, and grabbing him, and throws him, and he punches his arm away, but the arm punches him, and then we see him land outside. He's like, "My apartment," right? Like, "What are you?" And we see these weird-looking creatures, the super weird-looking creatures, and then they explain to us, "That's rude. You should have asked who we are. We are the true people of the earth. People on the surface probably call us underground people, though. There are many of us. There are too many of us now. We need more rooms, so we decide to take over the surface. But we heard you people on the surface are pretty high in numbers too. We need all the room we can get, so we have to get rid of you guys. And that's the underground people. And so just a massive battle breaks out, right? And this battle is pretty intense. And Saitama is like, I will not lose. I will protect the surface, like this just Dragon Ball power up moment, friendship, But instead, I will not lose. I'll protect the surface, right? And then we see Saitama just going at it. He's bleeding, and like they're hitting him, they're putting it in there, and Saitama. Then we see him standing on all their bodies because he just wrecked all of them. We see him standing on a pile of their bodies, right? I see you have taken care of my sons. The feeling I had been looking for. The Underground King will take you on. And then Saitama says, looking for all this, and then ring, and then we see that it was all a dream. This is all in Saitama's hallucination. I think it's just showing you like just how mentally bored Saitama is. Like he's genuinely become so powerful. Like he's having fantasies of just having a good fight, something that can challenge him. Anyway, so we see that, but there are really mole people or underground people invading the earth. And then Saitama, like he hears it outside. Saitama immediately puts on his clothes and jumps outside, and he goes, "The surface belongs to us, underground people now. Death to all surface people. I am the mighty underground king." Gah! And Saitama jumps out the window, lands on his head, and he's like, I will protect the surface. Now, let's do it. And then we see, we're sorry. See a little white flag saying, we're sorry. And then they escape. And yeah, that's the end of the Saitama introduction arc. In the next arc, we get introduced to Genos. And I'll be covering that in another video, and I'm going to be ending this video here for now. But just a little closing thoughts here is that this arc, it's basically introduction. We see like this is not, monsters are a common thing. Monsters attack a lot. If you pay attention, you would figure that like the attacking of monsters is a common thing. There's nothing to suggest that there are more heroes than anyone other than Saitama. Because the sound system and everything, that might just be the natural reaction they have, the natural way to deal with it. We don't really know. We see the introduction of the economy. We see how Saitama became a hero. We see that he always ends one fight. He always ends a fight with one punch. We see it. It's an introduction to Saitama. It's an introduction to the world, and yeah, it does a really good job. There's nothing to really criticize, nothing to really downplay. It's all good. It's a pretty enjoyable read. I'd suggest you guys go back and read those 4 chapters. It's pretty enjoyable, especially Old Face and Big Ache, and chapter 4 where Saitama is just daydreaming. It's pretty amazing, and anyway, that's the video, guys. Tell me what you think about it. Like down in the comments. Subscribe. That would be pretty nice if you do that, and thank you if you do. But with that being said, I'm going to be closing out this video, and see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.